In the last video, we looked at the top 20 worst Megaman X Mavericks. The ones that actually suck so hard, it does give you a headache. But not in today's video, because today, we're going to be looking at my personal best ones. The kind that can kick so much butt, it would put all the Mavericks from the last video to even more shame than they already have to be. Why top 20? Why keep things on top 10 when you can double down? I am Musashi X, and welcome to my countdown of the top 20 best Megaman X Mavericks. Right here on Top of the Game Chain. Just like on my last video, the same ground rules apply for today's countdown. 1. Each entry will be based on stage design, weapon usage, character appeal, or any combinations of all of the above. 2. I will also include footage from the Zero Project hack of Mega Man X3 whenever applicable, just to see how difficult Mavericks can be with both hunters. And 3. Mavericks from Mega Man X Command Mission will also be included, but only the ones that give Axel a DNA change ability. With that said, let's get this mission started. We'll kick things off with the Maverick from Command Mission. Coming in at number 20 is Silverhorn. Immediately in Chapter 3, you'll have Steel Massimo in the team, and it's from that point that you'll have to start farming for experience points very early, because even though he's only the second Maverick you encounter, the game goes up in difficulty very early in the story. Tiana Camp does have some good enemies to farm for experience points, and you'll need to build up Massimo to make the boss match easier. Some enemies can range from these rifle-wielding Dobermen to D-Sharks and the axe-wielding Big Monkeys. Given that Massimo is the power type, you'll want to focus on building him up. Other than that, the dungeon itself is not too daunting, though it does a decent job of giving the atmosphere of a prison complex, with one of the gimmicks being these floating patrol units that if you're caught in the line of sight, you'll be sent back to a respawning point and try again. The other gimmick in Tiana Camp is a different story, as you're playing Simon Says with the colored panels, and you'll trigger a battle if you didn't step on the panels in the correct order, which is not a big deal because you'll want to build up your team before you can take on Silverhorn himself. I find the design on Silverhorn done very well. Very rare does Capcom utilize dinosaurs as Mavericks in their games, apart from Matrix, aka Burn Dino Rex from X5, but Silverhorn's large frame and the fact that he's based off of a Triceratops makes him very intimidating than any of the big guys from the last countdown. Compound that with his ruthless personality and how he dictates things inside the prison complex really gave him that threatening vibe. His characteristics remind me of a character named Uyghur from my favorite anime series, Hokuto no Ken, aka Fist of the North Star. In fact, let's run down some similarities. Both men are ginormous in physique, which makes the hero the underdog in terms of size and prowess. Both men are cruel and have no compassion for the weak. They both work for major villains, Silverhorn with Epsilon and Uyghur with Rao. Both men are leaders of penitentiaries, with Silverhorn running Tiana Camp and Uyghur being the warden of the prison city Cassandra. And both men have imprisoned notable character or characters to prevent joining the opposition. For Silverhorn, he has imprisoned both the already tortured original Steel Massimo, as well as Chief Art's navigator Nana, and forced her to do his bidding, while similarly, Uyghur imprisons Rao's younger brother Toki, out of fear that his conquest of the land would be stopped had Toki joined Kenshiro. Silverhorn is no pushover, as many of his attacks are of mid-tier level, and they can target the whole team all at once. So you better be sure that you have equipment with decent resistance to water-based attacks, as you don't want to lose earlier on in the game, let alone get hit by his other move, Cryogenics, where there's a chance you'll be frozen, leaving yourself wide open to another attack. While it is strange that Axel has his DNA, despite not really meeting him at all in battle, the DNA change from Silverhorn is very useful, as Axel can perform Tidal Wave, which attacks all enemies on screen. However, there is one DNA change that would be better than this, which we'll see soon in the video. Even though Command Mission is an RPG, the size and power of Silverhorn makes him a decent challenge in comparison to any other giant wimps I've mentioned in the last countdown. Megaman X8, my second best game in the series. Not a perfect game, but the overall fun factor is what X7 should have been right from the start, and the special weapons against bosses are made to be more effective. Not every Ride Chaser stage in the series is fun though. Some are challenging and cheap, some can be boring, and one is just flat out stupid. However, I do enjoy the Ride Chaser sequence in the Avalanche Yeti stage. Unlike the garbage track that is the central circuit from X7, the central white stage in X8 is an over-the-shoulder auto-scroller, where the only controls are just moving left and right, dash faster, use your brakes to slow down a little, and of course, shoot. Speaking of shooting, a unique feature in this stage is that each hunter has a specific Ride Chaser. X can perform a charge shot, Zero has a slow but powerful blade shot, and Axel has rapid fire when you hold the button. I'll admit that the tracks are a little tricky and it's easy to fall into pits or crash into walls, but with enough practice, it's a fun stage, and the music is adrenaline rush at its finest. Even the sub-boss, the Rave Manta, is fun to fight and has a good design. The only downside I can say about this stage, however, is one of X's armor pieces is blocked up by stacks of solid ice, which can only be melted with X's Shining Ray from Optic Sunflower. So if you didn't get the weapon prior, you'll have to go through the whole stage all over again. Then there's this rare metal that can be reached in one of two ways. Either you have Axel in the team and use his hover ability, or as Zero, perform a tricky jump followed by Raikosen, assuming if you defeated Gigavolt Manowar prior. The match against Avalanche Yeti is very tough, especially without his weakness, which are the aforementioned Raikosen from Zero, Thunder Dancer from X, and the Plasma Gun from Axel, all of which are obtained from Gigavolt Manowar. Yeti can fire multiple icicles in different angles, he'll launch at the player and freezes him when connected, and he'll burrow underneath the snow and perform a surprise attack. His overdrive move has him generating descending snowflakes that will infinitely spawn for the remainder of the match. The weapons you get from Avalanche Yeti are very awesome to use. The Drift Diamond for X that allows him to fire 2 snowflakes in 45-degree angles, the Ice Gatling Gun for Axel, and the anti-air move Hyoryusho for Zero. And as an Easter egg, if Zero performs the move with Kaiser Knuckle equipped, he'll yell out, "Now that's awesome!" Overall, Avalanche Yeti stage is not perfect, but still good. The difficulty of the boss match is just right, and the weapons you get from him are very frozen solid. Eh? Yeah, that pun was dull, but I had to say it, so chill out, y'all. Yikes, I've gone and done it again. With the exception of Infinity Maginian, and in some degree, Lizard Wolfang, the boss matches of Mega Man X6 are just too easy that you don't even need their weaknesses for most of them, and Commander Janmark is one such Maverick. I will admit that his design is very sleek, and while the match against him is very easy, especially if you keep bombarding him with Z-Buster shots, the developers at least put the word Commander to some good use, as Commander Janmark's techniques are mostly him ordering his Dragonfly minions to attack the hunters. Unlike the other Mavericks in the game, his stage is designed well, with the right amount of challenge in platforming. Granted, it's possible to mess up the first time around, but you'll get the pattern down fairly quick. Both hunters get the Janmark option, which is one of the best weapons in the game. It summons 3 dragonflies that circle around to protect you, and with the push of a button, allows the dragonflies to fire bullets, and they're very useful against those stupid nightmare bugs that show up occasionally. Mega Man X6 may not have been what X4 and 5 were, but as long as the core mechanics from said games are kept smooth to control, I still managed to find some enjoyment out of the game. In most reviews I've seen, some people named Bamboo Pandemonium from X8 as one of the worst in the game. I can understand what they're getting at, and I respect their opinion, but personally for me, I think he's still a decent Maverick to fight. Not many people realize that panda bears may look docile externally, but they can be quite feral if you provoke them enough to the point that they can't take it anymore, and in the world of video games, they're more dangerous when trained in the martial arts. Just go ask Ling Xiaoyu. His stage is one of my favorites in the game. So many suspicious areas to check out for secrets, good enemies to fight, and that kick-butt music that replaces the actual stage music whenever you're inside a ride armor. You can use its shoulder cannon to stun enemies and close in for the 1-2 punch, or charge it up and perform Kenshiro's 100 Fist Rush. A mobile suit with Hokuto Shinken properties programmed in it? Sign me up! Just like Volt Catfish stage in X3, you can also use the weight of the ride armor to destroy this one floor in the level to score more currency and a rare metal, and if you're very careful, you can also take the ride armor with you to the boss. I wouldn't let Pandemonium's face fool you. His face may not look threatening, but everything else about him is. He may be slow, but the strength of the missiles he fires and the bombs he launches are no joke. He can also summon bamboo on the field, which you can use to wall jump over him as he walks to a different side of the arena. He will attempt to grab and strangle you, and somehow, with his giant claws, he's also capable of performing the Hokuto 100 Fist Rush. Who knew panda bears are also capable of Hokuto Shinken? It's also worth noting that the match takes place in an arena with no barricades, so there's always a possibility that you'll fall to your doom. Once he's at low HP, he'll perform a powerful haymaker that deals a lot of damage but can be dodged, as it only lands on whatever position you're at, and it's also capable of destroying a ride armor even at full energy with just one hit. The weapons you get from him, while slow, really pack a punch, so in my opinion, Bamboo Pandemonium, despite his slowness and without the ride armor or weakness, he still puts up a decent fight, and his weapons aren't too shabby either. And here we have the second toughest hidden Maverick, if you can call her one, in Command Mission. Coming in at number 16 is Rafflesian. Since you do get noteworthy rewards from her, she might as well be counted a Maverick. Her location is in Tiana Camp, which I already talked about with Silverhorn, and she's located in this one room with a keyhole symbol on the map, and you can access the room with the Tiana key that you'll eventually get from sending mechanoloids in the deployment center. It's only in this part of Tiana Camp where there are more different enemies to fight than you would normally see in this dungeon. But that's the least of your worries, because your match with Rafflesian will suck very hard from you from the start. Think of her as Hatsune Miku, suddenly going on from nice idol to cold-blooded killer. Her motif is that of a parasitic flower called Rafflesia, and how appropriate because not only will Rafflesian gain a stat boost each turn, but also gains a stat boost when attacked. It's even harder in the fact that she has her homegirls, the Belladonnas, backing her up, and they also get a stat boost when attacked. They're also cheap in that they also auto-regenerate HP each turn, prolonging the match even further. All of the Belladonna's attacks are of mid-tier level that hurts worse with their stat increase, while Rafflesian's attacks are of high-tier level that the strength of each of her attacks are enough to take out even Crossfire X or Black Zero at full HP. Unless you took the time to build out the speed of your team, your best bet is, assuming the bosses attack first, hopefully their attacks don't deal a critical blow and take out one of your characters early. Specifically Axel if he's your frontline character from the start of the match. And should you have Axel out there and somehow survived or didn't get attacked at all, go into his hyper mode ASAP and make sure everyone else does the same. Then focus on one enemy at a time, obviously targeting Rafflesian first because of everything I mentioned, then get rid of her homegirls afterwards, because if you even attempt to perform a crowd clearing move at all, you're only setting yourself to slowly concede defeat as you're somehow helping them rather than saving your hide. Unlike Ninetales, the rewards you receive from Rafflesian are worth it. You get Axel's DNA change called Sunburst, a laser attack that inflicts a 10-hit combo on all enemies, making it more effective than in Sentis Asura Knuckle, and X gets the ultimate armor. I know that the ultimate armor is a completely different power-up altogether, but it just can't be overlooked. I mean, just look at the design. I've stated in my review of Command Mission that this version of the ultimate armor is packing more heat than in any other X game. And had it not been for his jetpack, heaven help him if he can even casually walk. She may not be good design-wise, but the rewards you get from her are enough to make it on this list of good Mavericks. Since Rafflesian claims herself to be a super idol, I will say that after a very hard match, Rafflesian's career is declared cancelled. Remember how pathetic Ground Scaravich was in terms of his randomly generated stage design and his cakewalk of a boss match? Some people would think Earthrock Trilobite would suffer the same fate, but in my opinion, not really. His stage does look very basic, I'll admit, but at the same time, fairly decent. You start off being pursued by this Mechanaloid going berserk, and you have to make a run for it while also defeating enemies to clear the way, or jump over them and let the robot do the work for you. Once you reach a dead end, your next goal is to attack the lever from above the cliff to hurt the robot with a forklift to the face 3 times before it withdraws. However, not many people, especially first-timers, would know that this particular spot is also the best area to grind for a currency. You see, this Mechanaloid is very immune against any of your attacks. However, the more you attack it, it'll spit out red medals that are worth 50 medals, and because the game will gradually get harder, you're going to want to farm for medals ASAP if you want some good items later in the game. Just don't be too gung-ho on attacking, as the robot can still hurt you. Eventually, after 3 hits to the face, the Mechanaloid will retreat for now, and you'll enter this room where moving crystals are charging right at you. The gimmick is that you'll gain good metal and restoration rewards as long as you don't take a single damage from any one of them. The more you get damaged from them, the lesser the reward. Following that room is another rematch with the Mechanaloid, and it's the same stipulation as before. Only this time, it'll try to grab a hold of you, and when it does, you better hope you still have a reserve hunter to perform tag assist. The design on Trilobite looks similar to that of Scaravich, but his face tells a different story, and unlike Scaravich, he does put up some fight. For the most part, he'll summon crystals that can absorb shots, you take damage when one collapses down on you, and he'll fire 3 bullets that can rebound on walls or on the summoned crystals. Even if you don't have his weakness, he's not too hard to fight. His shell protects him from damage, but you can knock the shell away with X's charge shot, the 3rd slash from Zero, or the blue bullet from Axel's rapid fire. Even his overdrive move, Wall Wave, is very easy to dodge. Of all the weapons you get from him, X's Crystal Wall is more situational and only useful for uncovering secrets by charging a weapon. Axel gets the Bomb Blaster, which is decent, while Zero's Rekyodan allows him to deflect some shots a la X7, and it makes short work of Gigabolt Manowar. Not the best boss in the game, but not the worst either, and since the game is farm heavy, it's a good idea to take advantage of the stage for some extra earnings because heaven knows you'll need it. There are only a few number of good stage designs for Fire-type Mavericks in the series. One such design is that of Flamestack from Megaman X2, and to start with, his music is awesome. The platforming in the stage is very good without too much cheap shots to take you off, Blaze Heatnix and Flame Hyanard notwithstanding, and unlike most Fire-type stages, the lava in Flamestack is not an automatic KO, and you can still try to escape the heat, assuming if you have enough HP and an E-tag on your person. There's always a chance that you'll mistime your wall jumps though. As for Stag himself, while he does look like he's about to kill you with his antler-shaped flames, his moveset is rather limited, as his attack patterns, you can see them coming easily. It's only when his antlers turn blue, in which he'll try to charge at you while also leaving fire trails on the ground, but other than that, his moveset is still predictable even at that state. His weapon, Speedburner, is the best weapon you'll have in the game. Aside from being a fast fireball, its charged version has X do a fire dash, as if he's Sonic the Hedgehog with a fire barrier. While Flamestack could have had more developmental potential, his stage design and special weapon makes up for it. Oh goodness, yes. Megaman X4 for the freaking win. Smooth gameplay, great stage design, wonderful soundtrack, and has the best lineup of Mavericks. When your Maverick has Slash in the name, you'll want the Maverick to be lean and mean. Grizzly Slash from X5 doesn't do the word justice, but Slash Beastlio from X4 sure does. I like that his stage is on a moving train level, and let's face it, trains are such awesome and interesting vehicles, and battling enemies on a moving train is very reminiscent of action films with fight scenes taking place on a moving train. Act 1 has you going through different cargoes until an enemy decides to blow up the chains holding them, which you'll have to jump to the next one, and you have the sub-bus that will impale you with spikes and a cannon that shoots bullets. While in Act 2, It gives you the ride armor to take out enemies, and some cargo can be destroyed with the ride armor. You'll eventually make a stop and then hitch a ride with another train, where you're greeted with more laser cannons until you start your match with Beastleo. I do like how Beastleo makes an entrance by running on the side of the train until he swoops in for the match. The only other game I know that a similar thing occurred is in Turtles in Time Reshelled for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, in which Leatherhead was running from the left side of the train, and then grabs a hold of the cargo car to get inside to start the boss match. His design on both artwork and sprite are definitely worthy of the word slash. He likes to growl most of the time, which is your only cue to attack him if you don't have his weakness. Other movesets would have him jumping around high and low. He can cancel a jump to perform a powerful stomp. He can fire sonic booms as he somersaults, a la Guile and Nash from Street Fighter. He'll perform a rush attack that can also knock you off a wall. And at low HP, if his lunge attack connects, you'll be slammed to a wall. The rewards you get from him are great. X's Twin Slasher allows him to fire 2 sonic booms at a time, covering enemies on both ground and air, and Zero Shibuka attack is a good ground dash attack, which is better than the slash attack you get from Ground Scaravage. Despite how challenging he is, Slash Beastleo deserves his place in this list, as it's also one of the game's best fights. I gotta agree with the quarter guy on this. The Megaman X series, with the exception of Duff McWhalen in X5, handles water stages competently than in the classic Megaman series. While buoyancy will always be present in Megaman games, say for Megaman 1 on NES and Megaman Powered Up, the X series water levels thankfully don't have an overabundance of spikes. One such level is that of Toxic Seahorse from X3. Just like Flamestack, the stage is designed very well. Platforming and wall jumping sections are handled nicely, the enemies are placed right in such a way that you can take them out easily, and it does sport a good stage track. Usually Mavericks based off from docile creatures are not designed well to make you take them seriously. Toxic Seahorse, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. His design is very well made, the color choices for him make him worthy of the word toxic, and his anime intro looks awesome, seeing him turn into toxic jelly to pass through grates. If you don't have his weakness, the fight could get tricky, or in this case, very toxic. Anyway, his moveset consists of firing acid rounds that ricochet off walls. He'll be high jumping a lot, and his contact damage when jumping can hurt, forcing you to not rely on sticking to walls too much due to the small arena size and Seahorse having a bigger hitbox. Once he's at low HP, he'll fire bouncing acid rounds that won't stop following you until it decides to dissipate. The acid burst you get after the match allows you to fire a glove of acid in any trajectory, and they burst into small droplets that do damage, letting you cover some ground, though it is useless underwater. Still a good weapon nonetheless. The challenge of fighting Toxic Seahorse is fair, and let's be real here. Who needs Captain Planet when X and Zero can handle the world's pollution better? The power is theirs and not him. The Maverick roster from Megaman X5 isn't all bad. However, for a Maverick to be considered challenging, aside from just looks, you also need some good moves to back it up. One of which is Dark Dizzy, aka Dark Necrobat. His stage is a planetarium. Act 1 has you on this platforming section that show lovely constellations in the background. It may look like a simple, long platforming section, but the threat happens when the black hole comes into view, and depending on what part of the area you're currently on, the black hole will not only spawn bats, but also one-hit spikes on the field. And it's much worse on this section where this moving platform that you need to ride will suddenly change direction. Thankfully, the spikes disappear after a few seconds. Act 2 is slightly different. It's basically the X5 version of the gravity reverse room from Act 2 of Cyber Peacock from X4. You just need to avoid the spikes, and if you flip the room, hopefully no box falls on top of you. The only section I find irritating is this one maze before the boss room, where you have to use Izzyglow's weapon as X and guide it to blow up the door from the other side, which is very awkward to control. FYI, it's also Dizzy's weakness. The design on Dark Dizzy looks great. They give more of a regal look to him, much like Dracula and Alucard from Castlevania. As for your match against him, the difficulty depends on the hunter that fights him. He's way too easy to fight as X, as he can take advantage of the wide arena in long range, while you have to be very alert and careful as Zero. Aside from summoning bats, he can also fire sound waves at you, and on low HP, he'll stop time around the room and will swoop in for the attack. Kinda like Dio Brando when he summons his stand, the World. Speaking of time, that's what both hunters will get. Darkhold. Think of it as Flashman and Brightman's weapons combined. Not only will you temporarily freeze the environment, but you can also attack as well. And unless you're very skilled, you'll need this in Act 1 at the Zero Virus stage to pass through these Quickman-like laser cannons that can kill you in one hit. Now that I think about it, Dio Brando summons the World to freeze time temporarily, and Dark Dizzy is a Maverick that can do so. Similarly, X and Zero having Darkhold makes them both like Jotaro Kujo summoning Star Platinum, the World. I wonder if there's a correlation. And here we have another Bug-type Maverick in the countdown, and we're heading back to where it all started. From Megaman X1, it's the Stack Beetle, Boomer Cowanger, and in my opinion, he's probably the hardest without his weakness. When it comes to his stage, he sure likes to make things harder for you from the start. His whole stage is mostly you climbing up vertical sections, and the first half of his stage is crawling with enemies, including the Sniper Joe with a shield and swings a Morning Star on your position. This is followed by this hallway with laser drones that will fire at you if you touch the alarm, but as long as you have the leg parts, you can get away fast. The only section I don't like is this elevator that not only have spikes on the walls, but also on the ceiling. It starts out slow, but it later picks up speed, and there will be times that I'll end up getting crushed, especially when enemies might knock me into an area that I'm trying to avoid. But thankfully, after that section, it's all smooth sailing. What makes Boomer Cowanger difficult is that he'll throw his pincer at you like a boomerang, he'll do a charge attack which, if connected, he'll slam you up the ceiling, and he can teleport, so there's a chance you'll miss your buster shot. Unless you have his weakness, do not attempt to face him head on. When you defeat him, you get the Boomerang Cutter. It's basically Cutman's Rolling Cutter with an extra ability. As shown here, you could use it to grab items that can't be reached by other means. That ability would resurface again in Mega Man 10 using Hornet Man's Hornet Chaser. Oh, and Boomer Cowanger does have an energetic stage theme music, and the character design is great. Definitely worthy of making this list. Earlier in the countdown, I said that I enjoyed the Ride Chaser stage in Avalanche Yeti, but there's another stage I like that involves the Ride Chaser, and it's from the game that conceptualized it, and does have a challenging Maverick that runs the place. It's Overdrive Ostrich from Mega Man X2. What makes it different from any other Ride Chaser stages is that it's not really mandatory to finish the level, but if you want to reach some secrets, you'll need to be mounted in one. The controls take some time to get used to, but when you do, it's actually fun to ride. You can fire bullets to take out enemies while also making high jumps with ramps. You can ram the bike to destroy some obstacles your regular attacks can't, and you can manually control your bike in any direction. Something X7 could have benefited from if it also has the ability to turn around. You just have to be aware of the fact that the Ride Chasers in this stage are not very durable, as hitting a wall by accident will cause you to lose your bike, especially on this section where the bike is needed to get this one heart tank. The way X enters the boss fight is that he rides a giant rocket and keeps attacking it until it explodes. You'd think that would have killed X, but nope, he survived it, and that's when Overdrive Ostrich shows up. Taking the name Overdrive into account, his attacks have an emphasis on speed. One of which is him performing a quick dash to attack you, trick you into thinking he'll still do a fast charge only to jump and stop you, jump into the background and try to super stomp you, and fire sonic booms on your face. It's going to take some fast dashing from you if you want to survive the match, but even then, his attacks will be so tricky to get away because compounding his moves, he also has an advantage of terrain. The Sonic Slicer is another good weapon from the game next to Speed Burner, as you fire 2 sonic booms at once and they ricochet off any obstacle they touch, making it versatile. One thing I learned from the HBO show Brain Games is that ostriches run as fast as 40 miles per hour, but to X, brains overcome speed. I've mentioned how good the stage Toxic Seahorse is, but Launch Octopus easily earns the highest praise for a water level that is just as tolerable, but also fun. Aside from being an open sea with spikes only being present on the seafloor, everything else about this stage has more action to be had, ranging from sea creatures of different shapes and sizes, and multiple sub-bosses for your demolition pleasure. Not to mention, the overall design of the seafloor is very rich in detail and color, and the stage throws in many enemy varieties to keep the stage from being barren. The design of Launch Octopus is nicely done to make him threatening, and it also shows on the gameplay. He'll be firing a large amount of missiles to be sure not one single buster shot touches him, and he'll do the same thing with multiple piranhas he'll unleash. Perhaps his deadliest move is Octopus creating a whirlwind to suck you in, and if you do get caught in it, he'll also siphon some HP out of you, keeping him alive longer as well as prolonging the match further. Very tricky Maverick, but thankfully not overly cheap like Dynamo Man from Megaman and Base. Once he's down, you'll get one of the best weapons in the game, the Homing Torpedo, which is self-explanatory and it will make short work of Boomer Cowanger. Now if you'll excuse me, I think I'll stop by a Japanese restaurant and order me some delicious takoyaki. With the exception of Extinguished Manny, Megaman X1 has a great roster of memorable Mavericks. I just got done talking about Launch Octopus, and now I'm throwing in another that everyone says is a favorite from the game, Storm Eagle. His stage is one of the best designed in the game. You start off on the ground of an airbase, and Storm Eagle is waiting for you up above, making it the perfect setting for X to pursue him. As the whole stage has you trying to reach for the vessel Eagle is located, you can be sure that there will be so much platforming involved, and Eagle will beef up security on platforms as well, which is fine by me because I get to blow up enemies for pleasure, while also listening to one of the best tracks in the series. I should also note that the parallax scrolling in the background is a nice touch, even if you haven't reached the vessel yet. Immediately, anybody would say that Storm Eagle has a wonderful design, giving him the physique of a soldier and tenacity of an actual eagle. What keeps him from ranking high on the list is that many of his attacks, as long as you get the leg parts prior, you can get away rather quickly if you're quick on the dash button. He'll try to blow you out of the ring, either with his wings or his tornado blast. He'll occasionally throw mini bird troopers at you, but they can be killed easily. His diving attack does have some force to knock you out when hit, but it's not too fast as one might assume, making it easy to dash away from him. And then there's the weapon you get from him, the Storm Tornado. Easily X1's overpowered weapon because firing one will pierce through any enemy. I agree that Storm Eagle is the most iconic of the Mavericks in the X series. Despite its great design and music, there are other aerial Mavericks later in the list that excel better than Storm Eagle.
Stingray!
I've already talked about two Ride Chaser levels that I considered great, but this Mavericks Chaser level, I will always consider it the best, and it's from my favorite X game, Megaman X4. Coming in at number 6 is Jet Stingray. Not only is the stage running at good speed, but the obstacle placement is done so in a manner that it doesn't cheat you out of your lives. The stage also has well-placed enemies and bombs on the floor, giving you a reason to use your blaster than just shooting away barricades, or make roadkill out of mechanoloids by dashing onto them, which is also useful in Act 2 during the 2 times that Jet Stingray tried to weaken you before the match. Just like Slash Beast Leo, not only does his design bring the vibe of intimidation, but without his weakness, you'll be in for a hard fight. He'll spend most of the match doing his quick dive attack, swooping down in an arc. He'll launch his Stingray minions in an attempt to cover the floor, and at low HP, he'll attempt to suck you in with his jet stream, followed by a straight charge. Should you survive the match, you'll be rewarded with these techniques. X has the Ground Hunter, allowing him to fire Stingrays down to destroy ground enemies, while Zero's Hyenkaku allows him to perform an air dash which is necessary. Overall, great boss fight, very heroic theme song, and best Ride Chaser stage in the franchise. Out of all the Mavericks in X8, Optic Sunflower is the most frail, while Dark Mantis is the deadliest of the 8. His stage has an interesting gimmick. You're mostly going through the stage undetected and don't alert the security or else face a squad of guards willing to slice you to ribbons. There's also these elevator sections where you need to hang on to the opposite side of the cargo to avoid the lasers, and there's one section in this stage where Axel can disguise himself as one of the guards to let him inside this one room, and you can power up the generator to light up the building to gain access to more rare metals and stop security entirely, assuming if you defeated Gigavault Manowar prior. The design on Dark Mantis is great. They gave him the physique and quickness of a ninja, and packing in sidearm blades. His mannerisms as well as his cowboy accent, if you have the language setting to English, makes him like a sadistic killer who will take pleasure on bringing you so much pain and agony. Whether you light up the stage or not, Dark Mantis is a serious trickster. As an assassin, you can expect for him to move fast, and he can fire homing boomerangs and launch projectiles in an arc. His overdrive move has him in mid-air in the center of the arena and attack with his arm blades at full power. Your only hope is to have Axel's ray gun from Optic Sunflower and try to keep him alive throughout the whole match, as other weapons from Sunflower are likely guaranteed to miss. X and Axel's weapons from Dark Mantis are very useful as they have homing capabilities, and Zero's Ratsetsen is a powerful spin attack that can wreck things, and if you perform the move with a Kaiser Knuckle equipped, Zero says this. Another nice Street Fighter Easter egg. As one of the deadliest Mavericks in X8, Dark Mantis has definitely earned a spot here. I'm sure everyone else has done this, myself included, but whenever you boot up Megaman X1, the moment you look at the mugshot of Chill Penguin, you just thought to yourself that he's most likely the first Maverick you want to take out first. And it's probably a good thing too, because his stage design is well crafted. It does have some great enemies to fight. You immediately get the leg parts from Dr. Light, which is very essential for later stages. You get to control a ride armor and punch the heck out of more enemies, and it's a very memorable track in the series. Chill Penguin's overall design, like Storm Eagle, is also the most memorable, but he also has the impulsiveness to go with it. As for the match, Chill Penguin is straight up predictable. He'll be using his Ice Breath a lot, not only to freeze you but also create ice sculptures, which don't benefit him at all because they also block his icicle shots. He will occasionally pull the switch above the arena, causing a blizzard to push you away, and his physical attack is sliding on his belly. So really, he's not that big of a threat unless you play the PSP remake in hard mode, where all Mavericks have some extra techniques in their moveset. When you defeat him, you're rewarded with the Shotgun Ice, which is a good weapon to freeze and damage opponents, and when charged, you can create a sled that you can ride on. He may not be a huge threat, but the rewards you get will help you start off right. I really mean it when I said that there are other aerial Mavericks that can excel better than Storm Eagle, and here's one of them. Another Maverick from X5 is Skyver, aka Spiral Pegasus. He has a more interesting Air Force base with one gimmick. You're immediately greeted with a fast-ticking time bomb that you need to destroy before it detonates, and when it does, say goodbye to some of your HP. You just gotta move very fast and take some enemy hits like a champ to get rid of the bombs in time. The rest of the stage contains slow-moving elevators, which is fine by me, as that'll give me a chance to score not only some payback on the enemies that try to stop me from disarming the bombs, but hopefully they drop some HP items to restore some HP I've lost. It's great that Skyver's design has a similar physique that Storm Eagle has, and is more tenacious in this match. The only way to stop him is to freeze time with Darkhold, but you better hurry on damaging him as the Darkhold doesn't last long. Some of his moveset include himself feigning a dash attack by sending an after image that hurts. He'll perform a series of dash punches, and he'll throw a tornado in which you have to jump over before it grows larger and blows you away, as the arena you're fighting on is on an airplane and you can be thrown off from either side. When you win, you're rewarded with the Wing Spiral, a good anti-air move for X, and the Wind Shredder for Zero, a dash attack in which Zero summons an after image and performs Shipuga from a distance. Spiral Pegasus may have excelled better than Storm Eagle, but there's another aerial Maverick that's better than those two. Unlike Storm Eagle and Skyver, Storm Owl takes sky combat to another level with much higher stakes. I mean, instead of an airbase and one large airplane, you're going through an entire armada that's already been mobilized. Yup, long before Sonic Heroes did it. The difference is that in Sonic Heroes, it takes 4 teams of 3 to destroy an entire egg fleet, while in Mega Man X4, it's just only X and Zero doing all the carnage with nobody else to back him up. This stage pulls no punches. In Act 1, you'll be jumping from one different airship to the next, taking out other airships that attack you, deal with good amount of laser cannons from Slash Beastlio's stage, avoiding that laser from Independence Day, and one of 2 times in X4, you get to ride the Blue Eagle ride armor that can fly infinitely, air dash, and when charged, fires powerful homing shots. In Act 2, you're at the Armada's main flying airbase where you have many laser cannons that get in your way, and if you carefully jump up the spiked walls, you have a choice of what buster part to take, though it's very obvious which one you'll mostly take. I will say that his overall design and the way he salutes before the match will tell you that this is one bird you do not want to mess with, especially if you enter the match without his weakness. His moveset includes the 3-way blast, which you can repel with both Hunter's normal attacks. He unleashes 4 orbs in random spots and after a few seconds home in your position. He'll try to swoop in and slam you if caught, and he has 2 desperation moves. The first one, he summons giant tornadoes to home in on your position, and his second one has him in the center of the arena, launching many orbs at once in a circular motion. He definitely has the qualities of both a general and a strategist because unlike most Mavericks who only have one desperation move, Storm Owl is intelligent enough to have another contingency plan. He's also well prepared to have a shield immediately activated after being attacked. After the match, you'll be rewarded with a double Cyclone for X, allowing him to fire 2 shots that cover both sides and if charged unleashes double Storm Tornadoes. While for Zero, he receives Tenkuha, in which his Z-Saber turns violet and can negate enemy bullets by attacking them. Well, we're here at the end, so let's finish this strong, shall we? Of course, it's very obvious we all know who number 1 is. And just to give a quick tribute to the quarter guy, I will also change this Mavericks theme music. Of course, number 1 is going to be obvious. Magmar Dragoon, hands down, best Maverick in the entire X franchise. Whether you played only half the X series or all of them like I have, we can all agree that there's no disputing it. For starters, he's the one fire-type Maverick with the best and easier level design. Throwing so much hazards that you can easily avoid as long as you're attentive of them, instant KO lava that doesn't bypass after-hit invincibility unlike Flame's shut the heck up, and the ride armor can withstand lava. Just like Bamboo Pandemonium, you can also take the ride armor to your match against Dragoon, and if by any chance he's your first Maverick to fight, it's definitely a good idea. There's no denying that Magmar Dragoon has the best design bar none, and with so many Street Fighter references showing up in the series, why not implement that to a Maverick that can present himself as Power Made Flesh, or in Dragoon's case, Power Made Metal. The developers really had fun creating Dragoon by giving him a great moveset consisting of 2 iconic Street Fighter moves, Hadouken and Shoryuken, and it was awesome to hear him yell them out. If they had added in Tatsumaki Senpu Kyaku, he would have been a complete Shoto character, but at least Akuma's dive kick makes up for it. Now that I think about it, if Dragoon also gained Akuma's Shun Gokusatsu and get caught in it, oh man, good night. In addition, he also has original moves that make him versatile. He can unleash Fire Breath, which forces you to take cover on the walls. He'll launch an orb on one lava side to form a fire pillar to keep you from hanging onto that targeted wall, and at low HP, he can unleash Meteor Rain, and he does it better than Cloud or Sephiroth, making him tough to beat without the right armor or weakness. Once he's vanquished, you'll get 2 awesome weapons from him. The Rising Fire for X, and he can literally perform Shoryuken when charged, and the anti-air move Ryu Engine for 0. It's no wonder why I think X4 is the greatest in the X series. They've done so much to make me want to come back and replay it because the presentation is remarkable. Even though the roster of X4 was treated with such great respect, we can all agree that Magmar Dragoon stands as the leader of the pack, not just in the game but all Mavericks in the entire series, earning him the right to be named the #1 Maverick of all time. And there you have it, folks. My top 20 best Megaman X Mavericks. And I gotta say, doing this project is so much fun. Now, it is pretty obvious that Megaman X7 will always be the worst in the series, but that's not gonna stop me from liking the Megaman X series overall. It will always be my favorite series of Mega Man games. I would also like to give a shout out to Death Battle, formerly known as Screw Attack, The Quarter Guy, Jay's Reviews, and IKG Productions. Had it not been for Death Battle's Robot Master videos, and had it not been for the other 3 YouTubers' respective Mega Man X videos, I would never have got the inspirations to do these 2 countdowns in the first place. So big shoutouts to all of you. So what's next for me on top of the game chain? Well, we're still in the month of October. But when November hits, that's when gaming goes to a whole nother level. So I'm thinking that for my next top 20 video, I'm actually going to do a really big project that, let's just say I'm going to commemorate this particular event before that 1 week of November hits. And you probably know what I have in store. Anyway, I would like to thank you viewers for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you like it. And if you do like this video and all other videos on my channel, feel free to subscribe to my channel as well as follow me on social media for more content. Until then, this has been Musashi X, and I bid you all farewell. Take care, and stay tuned.